I'm going to talk to you about a project we are carrying out at ISOC with the great help of the community. And this project is aimed at improving routing security and in general security on the internet. So this is a slightly technical presentation, but I'll try to avoid a lot of technical terms. And of course, we'll have a Q&A and I can clarify. So routing security, the way the internet works is one network is connected to another network, and those two networks share what is called routing information. And routing information is mainly how one network communicates with another network. Now, on the internet, the number of visible networks are identified with a number that's called the autonomous system or autonomous system number. And there are currently 74,000 networks if you count the number of autonomous systems available. And autonomous system just means a network that is under the control of one organization or one entity. So if you count the number of autonomous system networks that are visible on the global internet, those are 74,000. And what happens is those 74,000 networks each share information about how they're connected to a neighboring network. So in the case of this hotel, for example, this hotel is provided by an internet service provider. That internet service provider is connected to another internet service provider. And those two internet service providers will exchange routing information, which basically says, this is my network. My network is number one. I'm connected to number two, and we are connected in this way. Now, that works pretty well. That's how all of us are able to get online. However, there are a couple of weaknesses in how this information is shared. So each network will have a device that's called a router, very similar to the ones you might have at home, only that the ones at your internet service provider are probably larger and more capable. These routers use a certain language or a certain protocol to exchange information with other routers. Basically, there's a certain format that one device will use to communicate with another device on the network and share what's called this routing information. And that language or that protocol is called BGP, or Border Gateway Protocol. And it's used globally to connect different networks together on the internet. Now, there are a couple of weaknesses there with how it's done. It's because any network can declare incorrect information about how it's connected to another network. And that is because BGP, it relies on trust. Basically, it means that if all of us are having our own networks together and we're all connected, if this was a small network here, you have to trust me when I tell you I'm connected to this network in this manner. I have to trust you that you're going to give me accurate and honest information about how you're connecting to your neighboring networks. So that trust can be manipulated, it can be taken advantage of, and that is a big problem on the internet, because it means if the information on the internet is incorrect, it means one network can impersonate another network or can hijack another network, which I'm going to explain shortly. So a number of issues that can that are the result of how BGP has been set up, the weaknesses related to it. You can have what's called a route leak. A route leak basically means that as network information is shared between routers on the internet, one network can, or several networks can declare incorrect information that results in routing information being compromised or being misleading. Basically, what that would mean in the real world is, let's say we're here in South Africa, I'm trying to reach a network in a neighboring country, or a country in Africa like Zimbabwe, and the path that should go should be, maybe on land and just connect directly. But because of an incorrect routing advertisement that comes up, or an incorrect information from the networks, it means instead of traffic flowing directly within Africa, it goes through an incorrect route, a very inefficient route. So you do still get your information, you do still get to the network you're supposed to get to, but you take a very, very long path around the globe that was not supposed to happen. So that's what's called a route leak. Another thing that could happen is what's called a route hijack. Now, this is more serious. So a route hijack in this case is you're trying to reach your home network, you're trying to reach a device back home in South Africa, maybe you're browsing something that's in another part of the globe. And your traffic, instead of going to the appropriate destination, it's hijacked by someone else on the internet, and then they can then receive the information you have. If you're trying to log into a bank website, for example, that information is then accessed by someone else. Basically, the traffic gets redirected. So the way to understand the two issues here is a route leak. Yes, whatever you're browsing, you're going to get to it eventually, but with a route hijack, it doesn't get to the appropriate destination, which is a very serious issue in terms of security. And finally, impersonation, as I said, one network can impersonate another network, or using these leaks in these weaknesses in BGP, you can impersonate another website. So for example, if your bank has not properly set up their network, it is very possible to impersonate a bank website, create a fake one, you manipulating the information on BGP, creating a fake bank website, and then you harvest all the credentials that are coming in, the usernames and passwords. So it is a big issue. So this animation is basically just to explain what I was trying to talk about. So the user in orange there, or yellow, I'm not sure how it appears on the screen. Yeah, orange. You're trying to access a website on the internet, google.com. The correct path is through the blue icon there, or the blue gentleman. We'll assume that's a network. But an incorrect or a misleading BGP advertisement is announced on the internet, and instead of going the correct path, you're routed through another network. And as a user, you may not really know what's happened. You think you've gone the right way, but it results in a route leak, or you end up being routed or being directed to an incorrect or a fake website. Now, this, of course, has big impacts on privacy. Any weakness in security automatically has an impact on privacy. So you can have what are called man in the middle attacks, or adversary in the middle attacks. It means there's an impersonator, or there's someone listening into your conversations and can track the information you're sending, usernames and passwords, especially if they're not secure. Hijacks, it means if you're trying to access a bank website or any other website, school, university network, where you have to send your credentials are received by someone else, and they can use that later on for other attacks. And then impersonation, as I said, creating a fake website or database or anything. So what's the solution here? So there's a community-led project that's called MANARS. MANARS stands for Mutually Agreed Norms of Routing Security, MANRS. It was implied a bit during the ICANN presentation. They have a similar program that's for DNS. This one is for routing. And this basically defines best current practices for routing security so that we improve the security on the internet. And it's mainly focused or aimed at our network operators, our internet exchange points, and our content delivery networks, and also our vendors. So we have a program for each of those four categories, and there are specific actions they're supposed to take there, which will improve the internet for all of us, improve security for all of us. So under those four programs that I've mentioned, the CDN, content data networks, internet exchange point, ISP, and equipment vendor, they are required to carry out certain actions to improve security. One of them is filtering. Filtering just means making sure the information, as I shared earlier, the information you receive from one network is correct, and you make sure that you're not receiving incorrect routing information. And similarly, you don't send incorrect routing information on the internet. That way, you're just making sure that you're basically a good neighbor on the internet, and you're sending honest and accurate information about how you're connecting on the internet. And if more and more networks carry out this best current operational practices, the internet is going to be more secure for all of us. So the program has a number of tools and resources available to you. One of them is the observatory. We call it the MANARS Observatory. You can go to observatory.manars.org. You'll be able to see a dashboard of routing security and any routing incidents that are happening. So observatory.manars.org, it is public facing. You can go to it right now and see some information about routing security. Then once you become a MANARS participant or a MANARS member, you do get elevated access, and you can get more and more information about your network. So if your network is involved in a routing incident or is a victim of a routing incident, very high chance you're going to get that information from the routing from the MANARS Observatory. We also have a lot of trainings available. So if you're in the room and you're a network operator, you have staff who you would like to learn more about routing security and manners, we have a lot of trainings available. There are a lot of primers and documents on the Manners website if you go to manners.org. And also on the e-learning platform for ISOC, you can get a lot of training materials there as well. So this year, I'll just quickly go through the activities we've done so far. We've been improving the Manners Observatory. The observatory aggregates a lot of information about networks on the internet and then displays charts and graphs about the state of routing security globally. You can go there and see, and we always make improvements to that data. We have a mentors and ambassadors program. So if you're interested in learning more about routing security or participating in it, we signed up with 12 mentors and ambassadors joined the Manners program this year for 6 months. And what they're doing is carrying out trainings or, at events like this, talking about routing security. As I mentioned, we have trainings. We're also engaging new communities like CSATs. And also we had what we called a Routing Security Summit earlier this year in July, which was a week full of trainings and other activities aimed at improving knowledge on routing security. So one positive outlook, the Manners program is going to be 10 years old next year. We've been doing it for nine years. There was a very good BGP workshop carried out in the United States, and they mentioned Manners as the sort of go-to set of best practices that all network operators should adopt in order to improve routing security. So in the slides, there's a link to a YouTube session there of what they were discussing, a very interesting conversation there. So I'll wind up with the plans for Manners this year. So Manners has been there for 9 years, and we're looking at further improvements to the process. We want to introduce an elevated tier for Manners. We're improving the Manners auditing and making improvements to the observatory all the time. Policy engagement and trainings, that's continuous work that we do continuously. We're also looking for more support. We have received a lot of support from the community and from some organizations and networks in this room. We thank you very much. You can specifically sponsor the work going to the observatory or to the Mentors and Ambassadors program, or come in and help with our training activities as well. Later on this year in November, we are going to have what we call the Routing Security Summit. Routing Security Symposium, excuse me. So that will be a chance for you to learn more about what has been going on this year with Manners and more opportunities available to you and how you can learn more about routing security. So finally, why should you join Manners? If you're a network operator or an ISP or an IXP, it helps you to improve your routing posture. It makes your network more secure by default. You're setting a baseline of how you're going to send information on the internet, how you're going to receive it, and that in essence improves security. By improving security, you are improving your privacy. You're going to be joining a network of network operators who are more keen on security and making the internet more secure. And you can use it, if you're an ISP, you can use this as a Manners as a competitive differentiator, whereby you can show that you're taking security very seriously. And if you're a network, although I'm mentioning ISP, IXP, if you're a network and you have your own ASN, you can also sign up for Manners and join the Manners program. It's at no cost. So I'd like to stop here, say thank you very much. I'll be around for Q&A. You can go to the Manners website for more information about Manners. So I'd like to say thank you very much. Maybe hand back to Marcus.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I would like